Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, Lions taking on Connacht this weekend for South African games up against European opposition down in South Africa. And after the Six Nations, stuff like that, you know, we are starting to see stronger teams. I'm not necessarily seeing that with somebody like Leicester, for example, but across the four different games in the South African match, we are seeing a lot of international talent littered in amongst these sides, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, this game is going to be quite interesting because we're talking about the worst teams of the relevant shields. You know, Connacht have been the underperforming Irish side. I think they came out. They started off quite well, and looked like they were going to be quite exciting to watch, and then kind of sort of tapered off a little bit in comparison to their Irish compatriots who have dominated the competition. And if we look at the table, Connacht currently sitting at 10th, Lions sitting at 12th. There are 2 points actually in it. So if the Lions were to beat Connacht, for example, they'd actually overtake them. And that's quite exciting from a Lions point of view, that they could actually start to move up the table a little bit. So it's quite an important game. Connacht have won 7 matches to the Lions 6 so far. So there's not much in it in terms of the overall season. And I've actually been quite disappointed in Connacht after what I thought was going to be quite a good season from them, and the way they started and looked quite good at some stage. Haven't really been able to capitalize and produce the results consistently throughout the season. Now, the Lions are very much blowing hot and cold at the moment, coming off a pretty poor performance against the Sharks, but after that, have gone 4 games, on the bounce, and been some pretty impressive teams as well, including the likes of a Munster. So on paper, you think that maybe that this Lions side actually should be able to beat Connacht because they've beaten better sides, although albeit without international stars. But they also beat an Edinburgh side with the international stars. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting game. And if you look at the side, this is how the Lions will line up. Now, what's quite interesting is it's a very powerful bench, especially in terms of the forwards that they can bring on, which is quite interesting because the Lions sometimes that's kind of where they come unstuck. A lack of quality off the bench has sometimes been a bit of an issue for them. But they are playing at altitude. Weather at the moment is scheduled for rain tomorrow. Here in Johannesburg, it's been pretty wet over the last couple of weeks. It's getting a bit colder. So I don't think the altitude is going to play as big a part as it was maybe a month ago. But if you look at the side, Steve Sitole, PJ Botha, Ruan Dre, not by any means the first choice front row. Steve Sitole obviously is part of that, but PJ Botha, Ruan Dre usually coming off the bench. And then you've got on the second row, you've got Ruben Skuma and Rayat Northnachel, who are starting to find a nice groove between them. And I'm really enjoying this loose trio. Now, there is currently no Jaco Kriel, who's obviously a very big loss. But I think Frankie Hall and Vincent Tuka and Emmanuel Tuka are complementing each other quite nicely. The two Tukas are playing very nice rugby in between the two of them. I think they're really enjoying being on the park at the same time. And for that, Vincent has been the star performer for the Lions for the season. Emmanuel Tuka has managed to take his game to the next level in the last couple of weeks. And Frankie Horn, I think that sort of shift away from eighth man has actually sort of helped him a little bit. I think he's a little bit less he's a very understated character, much more sort of a ball playing eighth man, instead of necessarily being that physical. So maybe sort of this kind of suits him a little bit. And then if we look at the halfback combination, Morley van den Berg, Jordan Hendricks, those two are the most important players on the park for the Lions because they control the tempo, they control the tactics and the game plan. And it's no surprise that Morley van den Berg started starting and playing very well, and the Lions then started looking like the Lions of old. The two speedsters, Edel van der Merwe, Rasmussen, don't give them an inch because they'll take it and they'll punish you. And a massive boost for the Lions this weekend is Burger ODENDAAL back from injury and starts at inside centre. Want to see the Similani outside centre. We haven't seen enough of Similani, in my opinion, in the last couple of weeks and months. We need to get the ball into his hand and give him space and be able to sort of see what he can do. We haven't quite been able to see it yet. But somebody who I've been very impressed with is Kieran Horn. He's looking very comfortable at fullback. He's undroppable at the moment. He's got the pace. He's got a nice boot on him. He's not the biggest player by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a very determined player, very much like a Tyron Green, sort of reincarnate in many ways. Off the bench, Jaco Vasaki, JP Smith, Carly Sardi. Now that excites me because I think that's a front row that can come on and make a big difference. With half an hour to go. Carly Sardi, one of the best scrummaging tight heads in the competition, let alone the country. JP Smith, I've been very impressed with in the last couple of weeks. And then Jaco Vasaki is the number one choice hooker for the Lions. Ruan Venter, the incredibly exciting 19-year-old. Sibusiso Sangweni covering the rest of the pack there. Andrew Warner, who I've been quite critical of in the last couple of months, but is looking a lot better in the recent times. Has got Manuel Russ and Tion Swanepoel. Would have liked to have seen Henko van Wyk playing because I think that he's a very exciting talent and we'd like to see more of him, but not to be this weekend. And then if we look at the Connacht side, this is how they will line up. So a couple of good players, and especially I'm very excited to see that Similani versus Bundy Aki. Interesting to see Bundy Aki at outside centre. Very much sort of more the traditional inside centre in the way he plays rugby. I think him versus Burger Unda would have been quite an interesting matchup. But he would be starting out centre. So if we look at the front row, it's Dennis Buckley, Dave Heffernan, and Jack Unjia will be taking on that line sort of second. Well, that's being Ruan Dre. I mean, he's international capped. One of the few international players in the line side. But then we've got Sheen Dowling and Niall Murray in the second row. Cian Prendergast, Jared Butler, and Paul Boyle. And I think that loose trio battle will be quite interesting. In fact, the reason I think that the Lions have been looking a lot better recently is the pack has started to pitch up. I would say in the early sort of weeks of the competition, the pack didn't always manage to stand up. Sometimes it looked a bit lightweight, sometimes it looked a little bit unstructured. The defense has gotten a lot better, and I think they're going to have to stand up to this Connacht pack. And make sure they're at their best, because there are some players that can, I mean, the likes of Alex Wooten, Mac Hansen, they can punish you if you give them space. The halfback combination will be Colin Blade and Jack Carty. I quite enjoy watching Jack Carty. I think that'll be quite a nice matchup between him and Hendrickser. Then Tom Daly, Bundy Aki, the centre pairing. John Porch is on the other wing. Off the bench from the men from Ireland, it's Dylan Tierney, Martin, Jordan Duggan, and Greg McGrath. Then Lever Fafita is a nice player. Connor Oliver, Kieran Marmion, Connor Fitzgerald, and the South African-born Shane Bolton. I really enjoy watching Shane Bolton. I enjoyed watching him last year, and I'm very excited to see whether he can take that sort of step up. So very good to see him playing this weekend. Let me know what your score predictions are. We will be live for all the South African games this weekend, so please do come and join us. We're trying to put in a lot of contingencies for load shedding and stuff like that. So the better the channel is, the easier that is for us to try and put in place. So please do come and show your support. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.